When I was in those corporate jobs, I saw the gap that was potentially missing. And I think for me, I kind of understood value. And my main important thing is how can I best serve clients with offering value. So I definitely believe within the fintech space and financial institutions, there's been a lot of blockers within implement AI. So that's of course poor data quality and compliance risk, shortage of AI expertise, and definitely like a culture resistance and fear. And that leads to ethical concerns or loss of trust. I think definitely within the enterprise space, I think it's of course gaining trust, but I think in the enterprise space, they're realizing that they have no choice but to adopt it. Because in my opinion, if you're not implementing these tools and these LLMs within your systems, unfortunately, you'll be left behind.
What's one piece of practical advice you wish someone had told you in your career earlier?
One piece of advice I'd have for founders is don't chase scale, chase clarity.
Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of TechFindsTech. I'm your host Abdurehman Saleemi. Today we have a very wonderful guest, Damarie. Damarie, how are you? And please introduce yourself to our audience.
I'm very well, thank you. Much appreciated for having me on this podcast. So yes, I'm Damarie Campbell. I'm the co-founder of NavvAI.
Sounds good. Damarie, first of all, we start with the questions to know more about you, about your vision, about your company. So my first question would be, you have had a quite diverse career from JP Morgan and consulting and courses to now co-founding NavvAI. What inspired you to make the leap into entrepreneurship and focus on AI-driven growth solutions?
Yeah, no, of course. So I think for me, so a bit of background. So I kind of started my initial career at JP Morgan. So I was in their near credit derivative space, supporting traders and institutional clients with market insights, relationship management, and trade execution. And I also moved into a more smaller boutique company called Courses. So specialized consultancy focused on post-trade operations, regulatory changes, and helping clients modernize workflows and align technology with, of course, compliance requirements. And I think for me, when I was in those corporate jobs, I saw the gap that was potentially missing. And I think for me, I kind of understood value. And my main important thing is how can I best serve clients with offering value? And that's where I started learning into artificial intelligence. So understanding that the actual need for it in these particular spaces. So I started, of course, increasing my knowledge within this space. And then after that, of course, I built NavvAI.
That sounds good. So, Damari, entrepreneurship, is it something you have learned, or is it something you are still learning, or is it something you believe it is in your blood?
I definitely think I've always had that entrepreneur itch, but I think it's something that has to consistently always be learned and continue learning. So for me, I'm definitely, I'm not at a place where I'm a final product, but I'm also aware that I have to kind of understand where my flaws are, where I can improve on to become the best entrepreneur and build a successful business whilst doing so.
Okay, that sounds good. Okay, Damari, moving to the next question. NavvAI helps fintech companies achieve sustainable growth. What gap in the market did you see that pushed you to launch NavvAI, and how do you position it differently from the other consultancies in the fintech space?
Yeah, sure. So I definitely believe within the fintech space and financial institutions, there's been a lot of blockers within implement AI. So that's of course poor data quality and compliance risk, shortage of AI expertise, and definitely like a culture resistance and fear. And that leads to ethical concerns or loss of trust with actually implementing AI. But I think for me, my main thing is when I'm working with these particular clients, I want to understand their pain points. And because for me, it's not just implement AI just because AI is the buzzword or the talk of the town. It's being able to understand what the real life user case is and how we're able to mitigate it or assist them in that. So I think for us, we are very keen to have a lot of discussions with the client to understand what the actual goals are for their business. And of course, for us, we implement AI tools, but we also build bespoke tools for these particular clients to ensure they are getting what they need with implementing AI into their business.
Got it. So that's what I'm going to ask next, like about the AI in fintech. So many fintech companies are excited about AI but struggle with real adoption. From your work with NavvAI, what do you see as the biggest barriers to integrating AI effectively, and what are the real opportunities?
So in my opinion, sorry, can you repeat that question one more time?
Yeah, so many fintech companies are excited about AI, but they struggle with the real adoption. From your work with NavvAI, like like the consultancy that you provide to your clients and the work you do with NavvAI, what do you see as the biggest barriers to like integrating AI effectively, and where are the opportunities?
Yeah, I definitely think the main barrier is the lack of knowledge because in regards to AI, it's such a open space and there's so much different tools that are out there and every day updates are happening in regards to artificial intelligence. So I think it's bridging that knowledge gap between the client and myself to kind of give them insight into, look, you have this particular problem. I'm not here delivering you an AI solution. I'm here delivering you a solution with the use of AI. And I think a lot of people lack that knowledge and they think, oh, AI is here to take over jobs. But actually it's here to complement people. And I think the people who are using AI as a complementation are the ones that are definitely being successful within these spaces. So yeah.
Got you. So Damari, yeah, please go ahead.
Oh no, honestly, and I think for us kind of at NavvAI, how we've kind of built this out is we broke it up into 3 pillars. So for us, it's the strategy, making sure that the client has a clarity and direction of where they're looking to go and what the measurable goals are. And then from there, we can implement the systems, of course, with the AI builds and the workflow automations. And then from there, we scale. And that's data-driven go-to-market execution to ensure we're delivering the results for our clients.
Got you. And Damari, my follow-up question would be like, do you think that the invention of LLMs has increased the interest of enterprises into AI, and they can now think beyond AI as like, okay, it is smart thing, but now they can see LLMs doing way smarter things. So they have like seen the AI in production and in playground. So do you think that it has increased interest of enterprise into AI?
I think definitely within the enterprise space, I think it's of course gaining trust, but I think if in the enterprise space, they're realizing that they have no choice but to adopt it. Because in my opinion, if you're not implementing these tools and these LLMs within your systems, unfortunately, you'll be left behind. Because if 9 other companies are doing it and you're not, naturally they're going to be progressing and exceeding their goals with the use of AI and LLMs. But if you're not using that, yeah, it's your own funeral, unfortunately.
Yep. And what do you think that if we talk about this security and AI, do you think that security in fintech has improved by the adoption of AI, or do you think that this is something totally unrelated, and the security and AI are different paths, and enterprises are investing both of them differently?
I think enterprises have to invest in both sides because, in my opinion, regulation or security, especially in industries like fintech that or financial institutions that are highly regulated, they have no choice but to ensure the security measures are put into place. But in my opinion, I think the way AI or the industry in itself is changing, people have to ensure that these measures are put into place before executing anything.
Yeah, sounds fair. So, coming from a strong background in compliance and regulation, how do you balance the need to innovate with the reality of strict financial rules? Is there a way to keep both speedy and safely in the play?
100%. For me and the team at NavvAI, we kind of have regulation is the infrastructure, not the friction. So we of course embed FCA, GDPR principles early to ensure that we're moving faster later in the long run. So our kind of main strategy is speed through structure, and that's ensuring transparent, traceable, and audible systems in these spaces just due to the industry we're actually in. So I think governance and ethics are a competitive advantage. It's not a friction or a checkbox.
I also believe there's one thing in this, Damari, that the heavy regulations in fintech are the like main cause of slow innovation we are seeing in the fintech, right?
Yeah, I definitely agree in that space. But one thing I have to be honest with, in the fintech space, they are moving much faster than other financial institutions. That's due to a lot of these bigger institutions that's been around for 20, 30 years or even 100 years. They have a lot of legacy systems in place. So making those changes It's not just making small changes, it's got to change the whole entire business structure to be able to implement these sort of intelligence.
Got you. Okay. So you also work in luxury real estate, which feels worlds apart from scratch. So what drew you into that space, and have you found any skills or lessons that surprisingly overlap between the two?
Yeah, so I think for me, so after I left the corporate world initially, I started up my service accommodation business. So completely different industry from moving out of the finance industry and then moved into real estate. But I started up my service accommodation business where I rented out Airbnbs. And then after that, I kind of moved into luxury real estate space. So I think for me, luxury real estate and fintech share the DNA in some aspects, such as the trust, the data, the narrative. And the real estate kind of allowed me to refine my persuasion and credibility aspects, and then fintech refine structure and scalability for me. So I think they do play hand in hand, but of course not as much as other particular jobs or industries. But there are a lot of transferable skills we're able to kind of take from the luxury real estate to implement into me building NavvAI.
Yeah, sounds good. And if you had to bet, what's the one trend or technology that you think will change fintech the most in the next 5 years?
That's a different one. I think definitely in regards to AGI. So I think that's definitely a place where the next 5 to 10 years, that's where AI will definitely be moving. But I think in terms of the space and the industry as a whole, I believe with companies knowing that they have no choice but to adopt AI, a lot of businesses are going to be competitive, but competitive in the next level. Because companies who are competitive now, in the next 3 years, they won't be competitive if they're not implementing the right tools and systems into their business.
That sounds good. Damari, you have talked about the very interesting topic like the AGI. So if we talk from the fintech industry point of view, what's your take on AGI? Do you think that it will fintech will get the most out of AGI, or do you think that okay, it's going to be another AI revolution that will slowly make its way into fintech?
I think, to be honest, I think AGI, we're not definitely not in the space yet for AGI to be fully implemented. But I think the way the future is looking on the horizon, companies who are keeping this on top of mind are the ones that are going to be succeeding, because we're in a space where the industry and there's so much changes happening on a weekly, even daily basis at this point. So I think it's about the companies and the CEOs and founders who are staying ahead of the curve and ensuring that they have alignment on the latest trends and what things are happening within the industry are the ones that will be successful.
Sounds good. And for fintech founders trying to scale their companies today, what's one piece of practical advice you wish someone had told you in your career earlier?
I think one piece of advice I'd have for founders is don't chase scale, chase clarity. And I think for me, when I started building out NavvAI, our main thing was to nail one problem, understand one problem that can, and then be able to provide a measurable outcome that leads to a repeatable process. So my main thing is build the systems before the hype.
Thank you, Damari. So we are moving to the next segment. It's a rapid fire questions. The only rule here is you cannot think before giving the answer. As soon as I stop speaking the question, you need to answer it immediately. Are you ready?
Really.
Okay. One misconception about AI in fintech that you wish people would drop.
AI replaces people, but it actually amplifies them.
Okay. Which industry outside of finance do you think will see the biggest impact from AI?
I think outside of fintech, I'd have to say healthcare. So it's definitely an operational diagnostic AI.
Okay. What's the most underrated skill a fintech founder should have?
Structured communication.
If you had to choose build faster and fix later or move slow but stay compliant, which one would you choose?
Build fast, but with compliant boundaries.
Okay, a leader in the business or tech you look to for inspiration and why?
Sattler Nadella. He's very clarity, the empathy and the discipline is definitely unmatched.
A book, podcast, or resource you recommend to anyone in the business?
Did you say a book, sir?
Yeah, a book, podcast, or resource you recommend to anyone in business?
Well, one of my favorite books, which I've actually picked up several times over the last 10 years, has to be Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. So I think for that, the key lesson you kind of understand from it is a definite purpose kills the drift. And you kind of have to master the fear, because in my head, it's the mind's tamer and the mind's limiter in some ways. And I think the self-discipline and independent thinking leads to building freedom, in my opinion.
Thank you so much, Damarie, for answering the questions. You are our first guest from the fintech space, and
Yes.
today me and my audience actually got a chance to learn from you and to learn about the fintech in more detail and to know what AI is doing in the fintech. Thank you so much for providing valuable insights and providing your time. And thank you so much, everyone, for watching this episode. Keep finding tech and keep aligning yourself and keep building wonderful stuff. See you in next episode. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.